Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Lauren Miller. I'm a solution consultant here at ServiceNow, specializing in IT operations management, or ITOM. And today, given recent events, I'm going to quickly show you how to leverage your ServiceNow CMDB and ServiceNow CMDB Query Builder to quickly identify any of your servers that you have across your environment and are within your CMDB that may contain a vulnerable version of log4j. Our first step is to maintain this data in the CMDB and get you quick visibility to crucial data like which servers contain a vulnerable version so that you can work with your security operations teams to patch and remediate accordingly. Our own SecOps teams here at ServiceNow are working to release some additional content, specifically around our SecOps capability to address vulnerability management and the patching side of this. So more to be released soon on that piece. But the first step is to identify which, if any, of your servers are impacted and get that data over to the folks who are remediating. I'm going to show you two methods on how to quickly identify which versions, first and foremost, of log4j you may have across your devices, across your infrastructure that's being scanned by a discovery tool, whatever's populating your ServiceNow CMDB, which is what we're working out of today. So in my case, in my environment here, I have ServiceNow Discovery that's populating my CMDB, which means it's scanning all of my servers that I may have across my different labs. So some of those in the cloud, some of those on-prem. Either way, as Discovery is scanning those servers and different resources to populate those as records into my ServiceNow CMDB, as part of that initial server scanning phase, it's not only bringing the server data into my CMDB, but it's also out of the box bringing in a list of installed software on that server into my CMDB within ServiceNow and into my ServiceNow tables. So because that data is being populated at the server, or excuse me, at the software level on my servers, automatically populated as part of Discovery and brought into my ServiceNow tables, we're going to use those tables today to identify what software versions for log4j we have relevant across my servers and which servers are vulnerable based on those versions. So again, this data has been automatically populated because I have Discovery running on a daily basis across my particular server labs. So the first place we're going to go is to our software table. So you're going to go ahead and type in software to your filter navigator here. You're going to look for your configuration module, and we're going to pop open this software table as you're seeing on my screen. Now, because we are dealing specifically with log4j today, we're going to go ahead and search for log4j across our software table. Now, as I mentioned, this particular table has been populated. This list isn't just a pre-built list of softwares. It's actually specifically and automatically populated based on softwares that Discovery and any other tools that may be populating your CMDB have discovered across my servers that are being scanned. So it's only populating softwares and versions of softwares that it's finding on my servers scanned by Discovery. So when I type in log4j, it gives me 4 different records with 4 different version numbers. So this is indicating that across the across the servers I have being scanned on my different networks by Discovery, it detected that across those devices, I have 4 different versions of log4j that it identified. It's giving me those version numbers, and I'm going to click in to see which particular servers may have vulnerable or non-vulnerable versions of log4j installed according to what Discovery has found. So when we click into each of those records, which again is going to be a version of log4j that was installed, most importantly, at the bottom, we get our critical data, right? We can see a list of which server, which configuration item record pulling straight from our CMDB has this particular version of log4j installed on it. Now, being able to see this list for each of these versions, right, of log4j, we're able to identify which of our servers may have a vulnerable version of log4j installed on it. This helps us get this list based on version, and so we can take this data and remediate accordingly based on the configuration items, which is our corresponding server records here, and start to patch and make sure those servers are squared away. Now, the second way to do this, to get more of a comprehensive list and basically answer the question which security teams are desperately searching for right now, which is, okay, I don't care about these different versions, and that's great, but tell me an entire list across all of our servers, across all these different vulnerable versions, which of these servers do I need to focus on? So to answer that question as simply as we can, we're going to leverage our CMDB query builder. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new query here. And once I create that, it's a pretty blank slate that we're starting with. If you haven't used ServiceNow CMDB query builder before, we make it pretty simple with a drag and drop interface. So feel free to follow along here as I'm going to go ahead and create this particular query that you're going to need to identify any servers that may have been impacted by a vulnerable version of log4j. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at our CMDB class list here, and we're actually going to search for our server table. I find the quickest way to do that is just search for Windows Server. It's one table above that. It's the parent table of that. So I'm going to actually drag and drop my server CMDB table here onto my canvas. And then the other table I'm actually going to connect it to was that software table we were just working with and just looking at a moment ago. And that's actually a non-CMDB table. It's pulling from the installed software data from each of our server records within the CMDB, but it's more of a core system table. So from our non-CMDB tables list, I'm going to go ahead and search for software. And the specific table we were just looking at and the one we're going to work with today is software instance table. So I'm going to drag that over here. I'm going to quickly create a connection between the two by selecting this dot, connect it to this dot. We have our connection. And if I click on that connection point and look at the properties here, I can see that this is automatically classified as an installed on relationship given the nature of these two tables and the data they hold. Now, the last step we have to do is apply a filter to our software table, because for the sake of today's use case, we are not running a report on all of the software instances installed across all of our servers. So we're going to go ahead and click our little filter icon on the software instance table. And we're going to be filtering based on product name. Now, the results you're about to see after we filter by product name, these are going to be giving us results just like we saw in that software package table. So it's actually pulling in this particular view from the exact data in terms of log4j data that's actually been found across your devices. So I can show you, as I start searching log4j, I don't have a comprehensive list of all the versions that exist of log4j. Instead, I only see the versions that have been identified, in my case, by ServiceNow Discovery as they've scanned my servers, and only the relevant versions that are installed across servers being scanned. So what I can do now is I can actually, from this list, go ahead and select any vulnerable versions of log4j. I know there's a comprehensive list, many sources out there to educate you on this. I understand it to be a growing list, so make sure you're using updated sources as you're running these queries based on the data being found in your software list here. But I'm going to go ahead and, in my use case from my current understanding of vulnerable versions, I'm going to go ahead and continue selecting the OR criteria. And I'm going to go ahead and select out any and all vulnerable versions as I understand them to be of log4j that may be relevant in my CMDB in my instance here and across my servers that are being scanned that have these particular versions installed on them. Now, once I've selected all of my vulnerable versions from this list, I'm going to go ahead and save this query. And I'm going to go ahead and click to run my particular report from this query. So as I'm running that data, make sure you don't have pop-ups blocked, otherwise it won't populate your results. But hopefully, like mine, and I've gone ahead and patched and remediated my different results, you won't have any specific results of still vulnerable versions being installed across your servers that you're running, but any results of servers that had those particular versions that we just specified would populate here in a simple report. You can modify the appearance of that report, the fields that you need available for your SecOps team, and that's really going to help them get the data they need, which is answering the question, which of our servers have vulnerable versions of log4j on them and need to be patched and remediated. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Again, our ServiceNow SecOps teams are building out additional content to release soon. And please feel free to reach out to myself or my team if we can help you any further in these times. Thank you so much.